Hey everybody, it's Binge the Body Whisperer here. Just coming to you from my walk this morning. How's it going? How are things? Just checking in. Anybody doing anything new? Or not, maybe not. I'm trying something new this week. This is the week so for the last 4 weeks, probably 5, was more of a build-up, getting back into it. What I'm realizing is that my hip flexors are pretty tight, probably from something in the past, an imbalance that I am slowly rectifying. And I emphasize the word slow because if you've been doing something for years and not knowing it, and then you want to make a change, and then you're like, why is this not, fixed right now? I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes I have these moments where I'm like, gee whiz, it seems like I've been doing this forever. But then you're like, well, how long were you doing it the other way? And then you start looking at the numbers and you're like, whoa, I might have been doing this for 9 years and not knowing it. And now I finally gotten to a place where I've observed it. And now I'm practicing to undo it. And how long does that take? Should it take 9 years? What if it does? What if it takes more? Do you stop? Do you not do the thing? I guess for me, the way I look at it is I could continue to do the thing that's not that's imbalanced, or I can do the thing to try and remedy it, and that's the practice. It's a practice. It's a practice of, and that's what they always do. Anything. It's because there is no end point. There's no end point of pain-free. My goal, and it's a lofty goal, and it's probably, and I totally out there goal of pain-free. That's kind of my idea. But we're a system working in an environment that's trying to basically, if it was left to our own devices, to kill us. And we're trying to survive, right? So we have survival techniques, we have survival things that happen, and that's, compensation, overcompensation for things. Pain, all of these things are they're to let us know something's up. And depending on the type of person you are, depending on where you're at, if you have a high pain threshold, what does that mean? Probably means that you just have a personality where you're willing to put up with pain, or you've put up with pain, and so your idea, your perception, your relativity of what is painful is for you is like a relative thing of something that might be excruciating. An 8 for somebody might be a 4 for you because you've experienced something that is an 8 that would then be like a 20 for that person if you go off the scale, right? So my question is, what would, and I ask myself this all the time, why do I do this stuff? Why am I putting these videos out? I'm compelled to. I am compelled to share this stuff. I just feel like it's a personal calling that I want to share stuff that I've observed over the course of, traveling around the world and seeing a lot of different types of movement and a lot of different types of, just seeing some stuff that has been very fascinating within this kind of like observation or exploration of the human body through acting, through sport, through growing up on a farm, stuff like that, and just movement in general, and then people's marketed perception of what movement and diet is, and how what I've seen, what's practical and practiced is very different than what is understood, if that makes any sense. Because we're marketed to in such a way, that's the other side of it, is I think we're marketed and we have these cognitive biases that are in such a way that they're playing to people's fears, people's kind of, everybody, we're all busy, right? So my focus has been, I've looked at this stuff a lot. I've studied it in myself a lot. And I've kind of said, I can honestly look at a lot of things and go like, that doesn't work for me, that doesn't work for me, that doesn't work for me. I don't know if that really works. That can work, and actually a lot of the stuff can work. It just depends on what you're willing to do and what you're willing to, unfortunately, in this day and age, what you're willing to sacrifice. I'm using that term because in another day and age, you wouldn't have to sacrifice. It wouldn't even be an option. That's what fascinated me about, like when I was in Haiti for a month working, there just wasn't any options. Like I luckily took some meal replacement protein shakes with me, but then if I just didn't, for dinner, it wasn't like we had a lot of choice. It wasn't like we had a lot of options, but you know what? Those meals were great. They were pretty darn awesome. I remember just waiting for that. I would have like a meal replacement in the morning, lukewarm water, just like sometimes if I was leftover rice from the night before, I'd chuck that in there just for some calories. And by the time we got to dinner, I was ready for it and so excited. And it was the same, it was rice and beans and chicken. And that was pretty much it every single night. But then we were out working really hard. And I'll tell you, it's like I couldn't just go to a corner shop and pick something up. There were no corner shops. And even if I could, most of the stuff I couldn't, because I am dairy and gluten intolerant, I couldn't even eat it. So there just wasn't choice. We have so much choice now. Now it's a matter of how do you find the, I want to say will, determination, the need for the longevity and the feeling of your body to limit things, because that's what we're in the name of the game these days, is because we have so much access to everything all the time. It's like, how do you take the time to limit these things? And yeah, that's pretty much, sorry, I'm going into my, that's pretty much what we kind of need to do at this point, is figure out a way of limiting and creating the scarcity of choice. Because choice is, there's a great talk, and maybe I'll put it in the links here is the paradox of choice. Paradox of choice is that we think that with more choice we'd be happier. And what they've actually found with more choice, there's less quality of life from having more choice, because you're constantly worried, am I making the right decision? Am I making the right choice? Because we have so many options, rather than just saying, okay, I don't have a choice. That's why in a lot of things I take choice out of the matter, with food, with clothing, with pretty much, I try and just take the choice out of a lot of that stuff, just because it makes my life a lot easier. And then when I do get something as a treat, it's that much better, right? So I'm gonna jump on the elevator here. Hello. All right, so Yeah, sorry about that. Last few minutes, whatever. So it's about how do you limit this choice. So look at places in your life where if you know you like something, you know you're doing something. I mean, the way I look at it is my time, diet, clothing, just the day-to-day things. I don't give myself a whole lot of choice. And it's not because I feel like I'm limiting myself. It actually frees up my brain for a lot of other things. And I feel just when I do then get to have these things, I do have a treat day or that it's just so much better. That's what I, realize. It's like, yeah. So I'm going to stop there. Binge of the Body Whisperer. Keep moving, people. Take care.